According to two recent reports, many Americans are falling into further economic trouble in 2022. 3.8 million Americans say they could face eviction in the next 2 months. Rents have shot up, and a lack of affordable rental options has caused this. And at least 20 million households, or 1 out of every 6 homes, are behind on their electricity bills as skyrocketing energy prices persist across the whole country. We're told by some that the economy is fine in the U.S., but with all the evictions possibly coming up in the next few months, more and more renters insist that things are not fine in the economy. Just recently, the median rent in the U.S. moved up to more than $2,000 per month for the first time ever. It's another indication of the rising inflation affecting the country's economy. Rental costs rose another 0.5% in July 2022, and on a year basis, they've spiked by 5.7%, according to government figures. And with the way government numbers drastically understates the cost of housing, actual rents may have actually increased more than 15% the last 15 or so months. These cost figures were compiled by Zillow. With rent skyrocketing, households totaling 8.5 million people are behind on their rent, according to the Census Bureau. As stated earlier, 3.8 million are somewhat or very likely to be evicted within the next few months. The factors of soaring inflation, the end of most eviction moratoriums, rental assistance payments, and extremely low vacancy rates has pushed rents up and many renters out. Nearly half of all renters experienced rent hikes the past 14 months. 11% have seen rent increases of over $250 per month. To make ends meet, renters are turning to credit cards and loans. 57% of renters say they've been forced to resort to these measures to keep up with their rent. According to Peter Schiff, the labor market isn't nearly as strong as people think. There may be plenty of jobs, but real wages are falling. I'm looking at, are workers getting pay raises? Or are they suffering pay cuts? Because in a strong labor market, you get a raise. So strong labor market or not, a lot of Americans are struggling, and perhaps a large number of them may soon face being on the streets. Another indicator of trouble is that the energy crisis is causing record numbers of late utility payments among low-income households, resulting in billions of dollars in overdue utility bills. Bloomberg cites findings from the National Energy Assistance Directors Association, and they say this is the worst crisis the association has ever documented. Some power companies are shutting off customers' power, meaning that many low-income households will lose access to electricity. Electricity prices in the U.S. have soared starting in 2022 due to inflation. This has been caused by a variety of reasons, including the costs of fossil fuels and also the high demand for electricity as people tried to cool their homes during the summer months. In July 2022, the overall index for all electricity costs increased by 0.7%. Other reasons for higher electricity prices are the cost of natural gas, which fuels 40% of U.S. electricity. It jumped in 2022 to its highest level since 2008. Finally, the U.S. and EU sanctions on Russian energy imports after the invasion of Ukraine have reduced the global supply of fuel, making electricity more expensive. Electricity delinquencies could even affect customers who can still afford their utility bills, according to Bloomberg. States frequently allow utilities to make up their losses by charging customers who are paying their bills more or by having taxpayers foot the bill. The Biden administration's efforts to give some relief through its $369 billion green energy and climate bill will invest heavily in green energy initiatives that someday might help the public. The bill will bring in various fees, taxes, and other regulations on fossil fuel production, which could wind up raising electricity costs. We'll see what happens with these two problem issues in the coming weeks and months. This is H.A. Graves.